we talk about AI at work. Now, Copilot for Microsoft 365 has the capability to empower people in varying different roles in the business. There are an array of different roles that you see on the screen: HR, marketing, sales, customer service, finance, and data and IT pros. And of course, in different businesses, what somebody does in a sales-based role might be different for one business to another. Processes will look different, etc. But there is so much capability within Copilot, it has the opportunity to support pretty much everybody. If I think about the typical scenario I talk about quite regularly, my darling wife is the HR and employee relations manager for one of the largest ports in the UK. And I think it was around about June or July last year. She was working from home and she called me over and she asked for some help. And what she asked me was, she was like, I'm creating a PowerPoint. How do I get it so that I can join the boxes up and I create like a process flow so that if in this circumstance you do this, in this circumstance you do this. So I showed her how you do it. And this is what you need to do. I was like, what are you trying to do? And she said, well, we're introducing a new policy at the port. And what I want to do is I'm creating a training document that the managers can then train the employees, the port employees, on what that new process looks like. We've obviously got the policy document. It's here, it's in a Word document, but I need to create a training presentation. That took her hours. And then about a week later, I don't know why I did it, but I did it. I showed her the video because I didn't have Copilot at the time, but I showed her the video of how you can, in PowerPoint, point Copilot at a Word document in PowerPoint and have it build you a presentation based on that Word document. Would it have completed it 100% so that's exactly what she wanted? The answer to that is invariably probably no. But it would have got her probably around about 80% of the way there, saving her an awful lot of time. She wasn't very happy with me for a short period. But that's just one example for one specific use case, one scenario in one role. There are so many different capabilities. But let's take a look at a few different use cases. So in this circumstance, we're going to be looking at emails and probably a scenario that I think most people might be familiar with. You receive an email chain. In this circumstance, we're looking at a marketing team have been discussing a grand opening event for a new store. And typically with that long email chain, if it's the first time you're seeing it and you're being asked to make a decision on something, you need to scroll through and try and read through that. Even more difficult on a mobile. Copilot can do this on a mobile as well. But hitting summary by Copilot, it allows me to make sure that I've got the key pertinent information as to what has happened and who has discussed what. So we'll now look at drafting a response to that. So I understand there's been some ideas contributed, but I've got the ability to make my tone casual, formal, short, long. We've got a new feature coming in around the next couple of months, which is sound like me. So it will sound a little bit more like you, how you sign off emails, how you start emails, the kind of words you use. But one of the things I want to do here is I want to thank the team for their input and their effort, because there's obviously been some effort that's gone into this. But I want to suggest that we go with the social campaign. Now, Copilot will go to work and give me my first draft and see what it is that Copilot comes up with in the first circumstance, helping me with maybe that blank page anxiety if we're wanting to think about, right, okay, what's the right word to reply this, start this response. But one of the things you'll see here, Copilot has picked up on a word that I used in my prompt. I used the word individually, and it's done exactly that. It's taken me literally. So it's provided a response thanking everybody for their efforts and their input individually, referencing what it is that they contributed to the change so far. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that. I've gone back into the prompt, removing the word individually, allowing Copilot maybe to provide a more broad response. But again, what we can see here, I've got the ability to now review what the output looks like. I'm actually probably more happy with this. I can discard it, I can regenerate it, but I'm going to keep it. And actually now what I've got is I've got my first draft. I think the only thing that I probably need to do in circumstance here is make sure that I'm happy with the language and maybe change how I sign off my email, but saving me time in drafting up this email. And actually the point around individually I typically throw in on purpose, because as I talked earlier about needing new skills to understand what's the right way to prompt Copilot, ensuring that the input will gain you the output that you're looking for, being as specific as you need to be with Copilot. Now, the next use case we're going to look at, again, probably something that a lot of people are familiar with, Teams meetings. Now, in this circumstance, what we're going to look at is an account team. This is in a demo environment that I recorded because I don't have any meetings that I'd be allowed to reason over information, but this is a demo environment, so they're made up fictitious names that somebody recorded. But in this circumstance, the team have had a discussion. This is your Copilot. One of the questions I get asked from customers regularly is, when I engage with Copilot, can everybody else see what it is I'm asking Copilot? The answer to that is no. The only time that would happen is if you hit the wrong button and hit chat, because if you hit chat, then ultimately you're putting it in the chat. You're not asking Copilot, you're asking everybody on the call. I've seen that on occasion where people have hit the wrong button. But I'm asking here, Copilot, can you please summarize this meeting in bullet points? I'm giving it a specific. I want the summary and I want it in bullet points. If I gave it a vagary, can you please summarize this meeting? I would get a summary, but actually I might not get it in the format that I want. Now, I attended this meeting fictitiously, but actually you can reason over calls that you've been invited to, even if you haven't attended the meeting. So you can ask Copilot to interrogate the meeting, even if you haven't attended, providing your ID has been invited to that meeting and the minimum transcription has been activated. The meeting doesn't have to be video recorded. As long as transcription has been activated, Copilot can go to work. And Copilot also works during the meeting. So if you're in a meeting and you need Copilot to maybe make some suggestions on questions that could be asked, or how are we doing on our agenda? If the agenda was discussed at the beginning, what have we covered so far? What's left to cover? There are obviously limitless questions you could ask Copilot. But now one of the things that happens in pretty much most meetings, I want to identify what were the actions that were assigned to people during that meeting and who were they assigned to. Copilot understands through the transcript what meetings were assigned and linked to the ID of the individual or the name being mentioned in the transcript as to who those actions are assigned to, allowing for accountability. We need to send a summary after this meeting. I've got my summary in bullet points and I've now got my table of actions that everybody needs to go and complete. But I've picked up on a point. If I didn't attend this meeting, somebody's mentioned website outages. Well, I want to know more about the website outages. Previously, what you might have done was watch the meeting back, read the transcript, or try and go and speak to somebody that was attending the meeting. Copilot, you can interrogate, you can ask it questions. Based on the context of that meeting, what was captured within that transcript, it can reason over that information and help you with the answer to your questions and help you see where it was that it was discussed. Who was it that mentioned it and what was it specifically that they talked about? So you can see, actually, this has caused a problem here. There's also the ability in all the apps to be able to get suggestions as to what you can ask Copilot for. But the final thing that we'll look at here is there's an action that's, well, there's multiple actions that have been created, but there's an action that's been created. We need to inform senior leadership about the website outages. We also need to make sure that we've got their support in moving supplier. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Copilot to help me with that. So I'm going to ask it to, one, create me an email draft that I can use, but use context from this meeting to inform that email template. Again, not needing to start from scratch, not needing to jump into Outlook and start thinking, right, okay, what is it that I need to say to the senior leadership team? The context has already been discussed. It's already captured in the transcript. Copilot already has an understanding of it. So Copilot in this circumstance, hopefully, will help us with that output, help us with that email draft that we can take and move forward with. Is it exactly as to how we want it? Possibly, possibly not. But we've got that first draft created so that we can move forward with that action. So here, dear senior leadership, writing to inform you, feedback about what the retailers have talked about, and also asking for the support and the budget required. I've got the ability to take that and move on with what I need to do.